Jay here, Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. You know the dance by now. Get involved in the chat and the comments because it's live. We're going to be talking about Edson Alvarez. We're going to be talking about Antony. We're going to be talking about Christian Eriksen. And, of course, we're going to be talking about Frenkie de Jong, because where would we all be without a Frenkie de Jong story? And as you can see, there might be a little twist in the tail of him coming to Manchester United. We'll get into all that in a minute. First of all, get involved in the chat and the comments. I'm going to read some of the comments out and see what you guys are saying. Let us know what you think about all these latest stories, and let us know if you're an ITK, if you know anything, if you've seen something that you want to tell us about, then let us know. Andy Long says, morning, Jay. Paul Gill says, morning, Jay. Love from Canada. Thanks for your support, Paul. Christian Knight says, my bold hero. C-Fence says, Jay makes it happen, Mossy. I wish I could make some transfers news happen, or some, actual transfers happen. We've got some updates, and we'll get into all them. We'll start with Antony. Now, me and Joe were talking about this last night, and the MO for Manchester United at the minute, when it comes to our scouting department, and I use the word scouting lightly, seems to be to ask players two questions. Do you play for Ajax, or have you ever played for Ajax? If you answer yes to either of those, we're in for you. And Antony fits the bill, because obviously he's at Ajax. Now, we've had this story a few times about United being interested in him, about talks sort of beginning, representatives from United supposedly in Amsterdam or over in Holland somewhere having a chat with representatives from Ajax. The latest update we've got is from the Mail this morning. Now, they did a story, I think it was this morning, it's been updated as well, saying that Antony is determined to move to United in reunion with ex-Ajax boss Erik ten Hag as talks continue to bring the 40 million Brazilian winger to Old Trafford as part of Dutch coach's rebuild. It says £40 million there. Now, he's had a decent season at Ajax. I think it says here on the stats he's scored 12 goals and 10 assists for Ajax during last season. He plays on the right-hand side. He can cut in onto his left foot. That's a position we need someone in. Mason Greenwood used to play there. I don't know if he'll ever play for United again. We haven't got another player like that who's got a left foot who can cut in from the right-hand side. We've tried Marcus on the right-hand side. It doesn't really work that well. Anthony Langer's done okay-ish on the right-hand side. Again, it's not probably his preferred position. So we need someone who can make that position their own. And that seems like that is Antony. It just remains to be seen how far advanced these talks are. He's obviously, from what the reports suggest, keen to come to United, wants to work with Ten Hag again. Ten Hag obviously knows him well. He seems like a player that would fit the bill of what we need. And also, Joe was pointing this out yesterday about the fact that Antony's got he's good at the defensive part of his game as well. He's not just an out-and-out attacker. He will track back. He will get involved defensively. And Ajax were very sort of stingy, weren't they, defensively? I think it was 18 goals he conceded or something. I can't remember the exact figure. But yeah, don't concede a lot of goals. And that's because the players all get involved. They all muck in. Hit that like button. Let's get to 500 likes around this video. Now, that's going to be difficult in a minute. It's only 409 of you watching. But hit that like button anyway. Come on, let's do this. Capello Media's got the burning question that I think needs answering. Jay, will you ever grow your beard back? Yeah, anyone who remembers the channel when we first took it over from Full-Time Devils to Stretford Paddock, I did have a beard. It was a lockdown beard, and I've never gone back with it. Maybe one day. Never say never. That's my motto. Murphy Boy 23 in the super chat says, Nkunku release clause is 60 million. Should sign him. What was the latest on Nkunku there, Baggers? All right, so that's why, because he signed a new clause. Yeah, Alex Bagley there just shouting over to me, let me know. Christopher Nkunku has signed a new contract with Leipzig. 60 million release clause. Good player. I don't know if that one's happening. It seems to have gone a bit cold on that front, and the fact he signed a new deal, I don't know. Yeah, you can say, okay, well, that could pave the way for him to move for 60 million, but I don't really see that happening. Who knows? Let us know what you think about Antony. Get involved in the chat. Get involved in the comments. Do you think he's the player that we should be going all out for? Are you happy with 40 million quid? It's not breaking a bank, that is it? 40 million pound in the modern era for a player like that who's obviously very effective. I think he's 22 years old as well, so he's obviously got quite a few miles left in the clock. Would that make a lot of sense? I like the idea of Erik ten Hag bringing in a player that he knows. I like the idea of filling a gap in the 11 that's needed. We need someone who can play on that right-hand side of a front three. If we are going to, in fact, have a front three. So, there's a lot of reasons to like it. I just don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if United can work on two deals at once, because apparently, we're still looking at Frenkie de Jong. So, are we able to do negotiating for Antony, negotiating for Frenkie de Jong, or do we have to do one or the other? It does feel a little bit like nothing's changed at Manchester United in terms of our transfer dealings. We knew there was just going to be this new era, didn't we? Where it's John Murtaugh, where it's Richard Arnold, where it's going to be different from the Ed Woodward disaster, if you can call it that, or just the calamity that was Ed Woodward when he was in charge, or overseeing everything, because we wasted so much money on transfers. We took so long to get transfers over the line. We're going to have a video on that later on. Joe Smith and Joe McGrath are going to be looking at Manchester United's transfers post-Fergie and why so many of them have failed, because they have. Our record in signing players post Alex Ferguson has been terrible. It really has. We have got it wrong so many times. It's ridiculous. Now, listen, the Glazers have bled this club dry, and they keep taking dividends. They're going to take dividends tomorrow, I think, again. They've put us in all this debt. But that doesn't mean we haven't wasted money as well. The two aren't mutually exclusive. Both things can be true. That they've taken a lot of money out of the club, far too much money out of the club, and left us in this debt and are no good for the club. And also, the money we've spent, we've wasted. I think those two things are true. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the comment. Daniel Riley says, if it's 40 million, then that's decent business. Yep, it does seem relatively decent business for me. Stone4020 says, or Stone420, sorry, says, if Glazers take a dividend before we sign anyone, lots of angry face emojis. I think that might happen, bro. I really do. I think they're due to take a dividend tomorrow, and I don't think we'll sign anyone by tomorrow. I might be wrong. Ed T says, rather Nkunku before Antony. Fisherman says, I don't think Erik ten Hag will let Frankie de Jong drag on. Sign now, or he will move on to his next target. You wonder do you think we're at that stage now where it's like, now is the time we either make this signing or we move on? There was talk that maybe we're looking at other options. I know he's a different type of player, but some people or reports were suggesting that Ruben Neves could be on a list. Hit that like button. Graham Cox has put a super chat. There's nothing on it, but thanks for the super chat. Hit the like button if you're watching. Sean Livesey says, big up Jay, putting in the man hours. Thank you, brother. Much appreciated for all your support, as always. We've got another story. Should we move on to Edson Alvarez? Now, this is the kid. Remember what I said to you about the questions we ask? We ask any player, have you ever played for Ajax? Do you play for Ajax? Edson Alvarez plays for Ajax. So, obviously, he's been linked with Manchester United. Now, is it Mike Vermeij? How do you say his surname? Does anyone know? No one knows. From the Telegraph, very reliable when it comes to Ajax. He's like a top tier. He is a tier 1 journalist on Ajax. Knows his stuff. Now, he's been reporting that whilst United are looking at the likes of Lisandro Martinez and Antony as well, who've just mentioned, those two players are probably towards the higher end of what you'd pay for an Ajax player. Edson Alvarez, who's a player that apparently we've been looking at, a midfielder we've been looking at, he would be a little bit cheaper. It looks like he would be, you can see there from the graphic, the easiest signing to make in terms of how much it cost, in terms of where we could get him or not, in terms of Ajax's willingness to sell him. So the figures sort of bandied around for Lisandro Martinez, around sort of, for that pair, you're looking at around 100, 120 million. I think for Edson Alvarez, it could be around 25 million, I think, is the fee that's being mentioned. 25 million quid. That is pretty much a bargain in the modern era. Let's have it right. You're not getting much for 25 million pound. The problem is, though, it has to be the right player. It has to be, it's no good spending 25 million pound on a player who's no good. Because, we can all go out and spend 25 million. You can go and raid the championship for a load of players. But if they're no good, then that's not going to solve any problems. You need to be getting the right player in. So, whilst that looks good, the fact that he is so cheap, is he cut out for the Premier League? Is he any good? Can he do what we want him to do in midfield? What we don't want is another player that comes in and he's at the same level or not quite the level of someone like Fred or Scott McTominay. I think he's more suited in to defensive midfield than those players I've mentioned. Get involved in the comments in the chat. Let me know. Oh, thank you. Sunstrider says it's pronounced Verwai. Sorry, Verwai. I didn't read that right. Verwai. There you go. Verwai. So that's how you pronounce Mike Verwai from the Telegraph, a tier 1 Ajax journalist. Jeff Curtin says, can we only sign Ajax players? It appears so. Either Ajax players or ex-Ajax players. That does seem like to be the case at the minute. Everyone we're linked with has either played for Ajax or is playing for Ajax. Now, I get it. Eriksen has come from Ajax and he's had a lot of success there. Was it 4 seasons there? 3 titles. The only time he didn't win the title was because of COVID. So you can understand why he would be looking at players that he knows, that can play in his system, that he can trust. I get all that. Yeah, all that makes lots of sense. It just seems a bit bizarre that every single player we've been linked with is one from Ajax or has played for Ajax, that we don't seem to be looking at many others. I mean, you know, Ajax aren't the only club, and I'm sure Eriksen knows lots of other players as well. Players that he's played against, players that he scouted when he was at Ajax, players that he's always admired, players that his coaching team have admired. There's going to be loads of different players, not just Ajax, and it's just a bit odd that so many of them, at the minute anyway, seem to be stemming with this Ajax connection. Anyway, let us know what you think about that. Hit that like button as well. We're on to 139 likes. Let's get to 500 likes by the end of this video. We can do it. If you're watching, hit like. There you go. There's a little graphic there. It says here, hit the like button. Shakespeare Spears says, who is De Jong's agent? I'm not sure who De Jong's agent is. Stone 42 says, rather be in for Tonali than De Jong. Suman Chetri says, we need a better transfer strategy. Every year, we go for a few expensive players. We need a complete overhaul by purchasing 5 to 7 players worth 20 to 40 million pounds. The problem with that is, now I kind of get that one. We do need an overhaul. We do need a lot of players coming in. The problem is, if you go out and you buy 5 players for 20 million or 25 million, whatever, are all them going to be good enough for Manchester United? Are all them going to be good enough to get you where you need to be in the Premier League? I'm not sure. It's not that easy to go out there and just get loads of bargains. You can get some. They are out there. You can get players at 20, 25 million that do a very good job, and but it's very difficult in one transfer window to go out there and just get 5 players that will come into this team and help us push for top 4 and win trophies, and they all cost 20, 25, 30 million maybe. Very, very difficult. It's just. Yeah, I understand the argument that we should have a scouting system that allows us to do that, but then, everyone would be doing it if it was that easy, wouldn't they? Everyone would be going out there and buying the 20, 25 million pound players and challenging at the very top. It isn't that easy. Yes, you need those players, but you also sometimes have to bite the bullet and buy the bigger players. The problem that Manchester United have had over the last sort of 9 years is when we've made the bigger purchases, which a lot of our signings have, not all of them, have been your Angel Di Marias, your Paul Pogba's, your Romelu Lukaku's, your Harry Maguire's, upwards of 60, 70, 80 million pounds. They haven't really worked out. Maguire, okay, he's still at the club. The jury's out on him. Pogba's left. Di Maria left after, a year? Didn't work out. We took a loss on him. Lukaku left after 2 years. We took a loss on him. Didn't win anything. We've just not got it right with the big signings. That's been the problem. And also, a lot of our lesser or cheaper signings haven't really done a lot. When we've even got what looks like a bargain, where you go, actually, that's a good bit of business, that Memphis Depay for whatever it was, 30 million, whatever. Makes sense? Still not worked out. Get involved in the comments in the chat and hit that like button if you're watching. Come on, let's get to 500 likes. We're on 192 now, 192 bus. We can get there. Santa Notch, great to see Notch in the chat. He enjoyed his appearance on Steve Housen's channel the other day on the rundown. Can you see us keeping Martial as backup to Ronnie? I think Martial's going to stay at his club because I don't think anyone's coming in for him. I think he's on a decent wage. I don't think he's done himself any favours with the move to Sevilla. Didn't really do anything. I think he scored 1 goal in the Europa League, none in the Liga. I think he might have got a couple of assists, but didn't really do a lot. Lopetegui was not enamoured of him at all. He was quite critical of him. And we had Semra Hunter from La Liga TV on the channel a few weeks ago, and she said that his move to Sevilla was awful. It just didn't work out at all, and she's quite kind of a lot of the time when she talks about players, but she was being honest. She said it just, there's no way sugarcoating it. It just didn't work out whatsoever. So has that put people off? Because that's his second underperforming season now. A few seasons ago, 23 goals in in all competitions. People are looking at Antony Martial and going, yeah, I'd have him all day long. Now, though, when he's on about, 240k, I think he's on, allegedly, and has had 2 seasons where he's barely got into, not in double figures, he's barely got into single figures in terms of goals. I'm not so sure. I think he might get a bit of a chance because we're not getting rid of him, but he's going to have to show something because he hasn't shown anything for a little while. And it's a shame because I really liked Antony Martial. I thought he was going to have a great future at Manchester United. It's not really worked out. Daniel Paget says, Jay, no one wants him because he's awful. Dirmston Strangler says, I really want Tony M moved on, but can't see anyone coming to pick him up. Scott Hughes says, Jay, morning, Jay. A bit late this morning, so playing catch up now. The latest news that you might have just missed, Scott, is that I've just been talking about the fact that Andy wants to come to United and the talks are ongoing, and Edson Alvarez is being touted as the easiest signing we can make from Ajax, because that seems to be everyone we're interested in now. Not just Ajax players, though, also ex-Ajax players, such as Christian Eriksen. Now, I've had a little bit of an update here from Fabrizio Romano. One of the lads in the studio was just pointing out that Fabrizio Romano's pinned tweet is from, what's that? That's over a week ago, innit? His pinned tweet is exclusive that Forest have opened talks with United to sign Dean Henderson on loan with an option to buy for around 20 million, which is, it's an interesting story. But I think it's a bit odd that he's pinned that as his pinned tweet when he has so many stories every day. And United's second choice goalkeeper got at Forest on loan is the one that he's pinned. Anyway, each to their own. He tweeted 29 minutes ago, Man United and Brentford are still waiting for final answer from Christian Eriksen. Tottenham focused on different players after one conversation with his agent, then no follow-up or official bid. It's quite interesting that, isn't it? Like, why did Tottenham have a conversation and then move on? Focus on different players. Did he say I'm not coming now? Was that the end of that? And why are United still waiting? What is the hold up? It appears from what Romano was saying there that he's either choosing us or Brentford. Now, we were talking about this on Paddock Live last night. People go, well, Brentford or United, that's a no-brainer. Brentford are a tiny club compared to Manchester United. No disrespect to them, but let's have it right. They are. Manchester United, one of the biggest clubs in the world. Brentford, just speaking in facts, have got quite a smaller stadium, quite a small stadium. Spent one season in the Premier League. But Brentford are the one that gave Christian Eriksen his chance after he had his cardiac arrest in the Euros. He obviously played very well there, played 11 games from last season, won 7. He might just feel like at home at Brentford, happy. He might be settled in that area in London. I know it's just on the outskirts of London, wherever it is. Is it Middlesex, Brentford? I don't even know. But yeah, those are factors that you just can't quantify at times. He might just feel that Brentford is a better fit for him because of the things I've mentioned, not because of the size of the club or because he's necessarily going to have a better chance of winning things at Brentford. He might just feel, I'm at Brentford. They reached out to me when other clubs wouldn't take a chance. I've enjoyed my time here, and also I'm going to play regularly. Will he play regularly for Manchester United? I'm not so sure. Get involved in the comments and get involved in the chat and let us know what you think about Christian Eriksen. Do you think he's the answer? Do you think he's good enough for Manchester United? Do you think that if he does come in, that he will get much of a chance? Do you think he's going to rotate with maybe the likes of Bruno Fernandes? Do you think that maybe now that Paul Pogba's gone, that Eriksen, could be a starter? What's your stance on Christian Eriksen? Because from what I've seen, lots of people seem to be quite positive about this move. Everyone sort of seems to be up for it. And also, he answers that question of, have you ever played for Ajax? Yes. He has. So there you go. He's played for Ajax. So obviously Manchester United are in for him. Should we get on to Frenkie de Jong? Because, there's a bit of a twist in the tail here with old Frenkie de Jong. Have I got this story, by the way? Frenkie de Jong's story. Sorry. You send it us over on Live Producer. I can't seem to find it. Because at one point this looked like it was on. This looked like it was going to happen. Then we're hearing that, Barcelona are playing hardball with the fee. Then we're hearing that, that United are, preparing to go up in their transfer bid and they're going to go give a better offer that will match Barcelona's offer. Then nothing's happening. Then it seems that there's reports from El Mundo Deportivo, that this is all stalling. And that Frenkie de Jong has not given, this is translated from Spain, so it just says, the reason that Manchester United still does not have the definite approval of Frenkie de Jong to start negotiation. The player has serious doubts. So this is coming from Javier Gascon, and he's done this article in Mundo Deportivo saying that Frenkie de Jong isn't convinced that he wants to come to Manchester United. Now, we know that, he's been making noises that he wanted to stay at the new camp. We know that Barcelona were making noises that they wanted to keep him, but sort of most of the reports seem to indicate that if the right bid came in, Barcelona were happy to sell him because they want to fund other transfers, potentially Bernardo Silva. I don't know how much truth is in that. Robert Lewandowski is another one. And they haven't got as much money as they used to have, so selling de Jong, who is a saleable asset, would make a lot of sense. Again, lots of reports were that he'd be happy to come, work with Erik ten Hag, who he knows very well. Yes, we've not got Champions League football, but there was an idea that he'd be part of this project to get Manchester United back to where they belong, and we could almost build a midfield around him. Now it seems that the latest reports are that it's not as cut and dried as it would appear. He isn't definitely keen on a move, and that could be a bit of a fly in the ointment. I mean, it just seems like this is becoming a little bit of a saga now, doesn't it, with the old Frenkie de Jong? I've not really been too worried because I think we have to be sort of mindful of, yes, it's frustrating when you see clubs like Liverpool getting the Núñez deal done straight away. You see City getting Haaland over line. relatively quickly in the window, although they've been working on that for months behind the scenes, so let's not kid ourselves there. But when you look at Spurs are a good example. They've got Ivan Perisic, they've got Yves Bissouma, there's talk of them getting Jed Spence as well. You heard about the Eriksen line. They looked at Eriksen, they have a chat. If he's not coming, they move on. They seem to be getting their business done relatively quickly, and they're in a decent position anyway because they've got Conte in there. They've just finished 4th. It's all positive vibes at Spurs, isn't it? And now you see United with a new manager, this new structure, all this talk of everything's going to be different and we're going to do things differently. And we seem to be dragging our heels a little bit and still going through these same negotiations that we've always done where we're not meeting a club's valuation. The club dig their heels in and we end up stalling and waiting and then you end up going back with the offer that the club originally asked for. It's just shambolic and it needs to be better. Peter Lee says Spurs have Champions League. Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I get that. I understand all that. That's what I just mentioned. A.L. Williams says, I think Barca are stalling the deal so it goes through after the 30th of June so they are able to reinvest more of the transfer fee. Could that be the answer? Ty Lee says, if Jong stays, he won't start next season. Abhishek says, we have to stop obsessing over Frank de Jong. Yes, he's Erik ten Hag's #1 target, but we are missing out on so many options, get hung up over one transfer. Mohamed D. Malik says he doesn't want to be here, so leave it. Cesc Fabregas, ? Yeah, do you remember with Cesc Fabregas in 2013? That went on all summer, didn't it? And it looked like we were going to get him, and Fabregas is the main target, and he was going to be our big signing, our big marquee signing, and it just didn't happen in the end. He ended up going to Chelsea eventually, didn't he? Also, Thiago Alcantara, I remember that going on for a little while, and it was he's going to come, and he's going to be our new signing. For whatever reason, I think United actually may have pulled out that one in the end. I think we'd scouted him before Moyes arrived and Moyes didn't fancy him or whatever. But it's not great, is it? Get involved in the comments in the chat anyway. Let us know what you think about Frenkie de Jong, about Christian Eriksen, about Edson Alvarez, about Antony, about anything else as well. Don't forget as well, we've got more videos coming up later on today. We're going to be having a bit of a debate about Erik ten Hag. What will constitute a good season, a good first season for him at Manchester United? Is it top 4? Is it trophies? Is it just improvement? Is it just getting some of the players out the door, new ones in? Let us know what you think of that when we're putting that one out later. And we'll also have Joe and Joe McGrath. Sloppy Joe's podcast will be on. They'll be looking at our post-Sir Alex Ferguson signings and why so many of them have gone wrong. I've been Jay Motti. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.